Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ma'am. My name is Muhammad Farrel Arkana. My NPM is 212.202. I'm from Class A, and on this occasion, I want to present my research proposal. And the title is a quantitative survey study on multiplayer games as vocabulary learning tools, impact on acquisition and retention in high school EFL students. Next is the background of the study. The traditional teaching method focused on rote memorization of the contextualized word lists. Just don't live with the incremental interconnected nature of building vocabulary over time, according to Storchi et al. 2020. And the next is students gaining lots of vocabulary simply through highly engaging interactive multiplayer games that let them collaborate with peers, according to Sung and Huang 2016. Immediate feedback points of our progress and solving context-based problems in teams also boost motivation and durable vocabulary retention, according to Zhang et al. 2021. The next is formulation of problems. The first is formulation. What is the effectiveness of multiplayer educational games designed explicitly for vocabulary acquisition in terms of both short-term learning outcomes and long-term retention among secondary school EFL students? The aim is to analyze the effectiveness of multiplayer educational games designed explicitly for vocabulary acquisition in terms of both short-term learning outcomes and long-term retention among secondary school EFL students. Next is operational definition. First is games. In the context of the study, games refer to a competitive rule-based digital activities with defined objectives and constraints. Key elements include interactivity, adaptive challenges, reward or feedback systems, progression tracking, and the focus on a multiplayer educational vocabulary games designed collaboratively to teach target terminology through game mechanics like roleplay, puzzles, and quizzes. Second is vocabulary acquisition. Vocabulary acquisition in this study encompasses both of the breadth of new words learned by students as measured by receptive recall and the depth of word knowledge as assessed via contextual usage and definitions. It is operationalized through validated instruments like the vocabulary science test and evaluators ratings of writing or speech based on lexical complexity, sophistication, and accuracy. The third is retention. Retention refers to the recall and the usage of learned vocabulary over time after initial acquisition phase. It will be operationally measured after 3 months and 6 months through repeat administrations of vocabulary assessment used during acquisition and compared to the participants' baseline scores. Declines in scores will have quantified retentions loss while stability and or gains provide retention indicators. The next is significance of study. Theoretical, this research may make a substantial contribution to the scholarly conversation on vocabulary acquisition strategies by focusing on the application of enjoyable learning experiences. It may bolster, refine, or even challenge current theories about the effectiveness of fun and interactive activities in enhancing vocabulary retention and practical use. The insights gained from these studies could be shed light on the cognitive mechanism that supports fun learning and its impact on language development, thereby enriching our understanding of second language acquisition processes. Practical. The findings of this research have the potential to be highly beneficial for teaching methods in English language education, particularly within contexts similar to educational setting in Tasikmalaya. The study could lead to a development of effective strategies that educators can employ to make vocabulary learning more captivating and impactful for students. Moreover, it may provide insights into how fun learning affects different groups of learners, educators with valuable data to tailor their teaching techniques to meet the diverse learning style and requirements of their students. And the next is another operational definition. The first is vocabulary learning is multifaceted process that involves not only the initial encounter with new words but also integration of these words into learners' existing linguistic framework. According to Afzal, 2029 emphasizes that the challenges learners face in grasping the meaning, pronunciation, and correct usage of new vocabulary suggestion that traditional rote memorization methods are insufficient for effective vocabulary learning, according to Abzal 2029. The next is vocabulary acquisition extends beyond more exposure to the new words. It requires learners to develop a deep understanding that enables both a receptive and productive use of vocabulary. According to Smith, 2029 outlines of the need for a practical model of vocabulary acquisition that accounts for the progression from receptive or productive mastery, highlighting the importance of extramural language exposure in facilitating this process. According to Smith, 2019. The last is vocabulary retention is critical for long-term language proficiency. Wang et al., according to Wang et al., 2020, proposed a contribution-oriented self-directed mobile learning ecology model to enhance vocabulary retention, demonstrating the mobile-assisted learning activities can lead to improved retention rates, according to Wang, Huang, Yin, and Ma, 2020. And the next is about the research. The research method, the first is research method. The research method that I use is survey research. And the next is about the population. The population that I choose is students from Senior High School 5, Tasikmalaya. That is the population in the sample. And the sample method will be gained by random assignment and certified random sampling technique. All right, next is data collection. The data collection will use survey research or survey method. Blend of survey instrument and observational techniques, the surveys will be meticulously designed to elicit qualitative insight into the student's subjective experiences and perception regarding to the efficacy of online gaming platforms as a tool for enhancing vocabulary acquisition and retentions. These surveys will likely include a series of open-ended questions that allow students to express their thoughts on it in detail, providing a rich qualitative data set. The data analysis, the survey data analysis for this study will be conducted through a comprehensive statistical approach utilizing both descriptive and inferential statistic methods to interpret the collected data. Descriptive statistic also initially descriptive statistic will be provided a summary of the data set offering insights into the general trends and patterns observed within the data. This will include calculating mean scores to determine the average performance or response across the sample, standard deviations to assess the variability or dispersion of the data points around the mean, and the last is frequency distributions to understand the number of the occurrence of specific responses or behavior. That's all. The presentation about my research proposal. Thank you. And I'm sorry if there's so many mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.